Hi, everyone, and welcome to our She Built This Live and Learn. Today, I'm going to be talking with Vivian Winterhoff, and we are going to be talking about who is really the boss when it comes to our businesses. Because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times it doesn't feel like it's me. Like, I know I'm supposed to be running the show, but I'm not always running the show. So, if you want to learn more about She Built This and join our free Facebook group, if you're not watching this in the Facebook group, the website is shebuiltthis.org. And from there, I'm going to toss it over to you, Vivian, to just tell us like who you are, what you do. And we always love a little bit of fun fact or like behind the scenes, how you got into what you do. So feel free to indulge our curiosities.
Okay, I'll try. Thank you, Emily, for having me on this little snippet here. It's exciting for me to be able to share something um, about, what I really care about, which is self-care and really listening to one's needs. And so, yeah, I'm Vivian. I founded Joy in Movement, my business, in 2020. And that was after years of hesitating to do it, but finally I took the plunge. And what I do is, so here's maybe a little fun fact, which my partner says what I do is to help people channel their inner sloth. And so I help solopreneurs in particular who are really prone to having challenges with setting boundaries around their work time, which I include myself in that. So I know exactly all the challenges that we face very often, especially when we're working from home. I help solopreneurs resolve or work through that overwhelm that might be there, and the constant go, go, go attitude that we have very often because we want to succeed and we're passionate about what we do. And I help them sort of step away from that by taking breaks during their days. And I guide what I call sensory movement meditations. And so they're different to the usual meditations. They're much more just tuning into the body and really noticing what's happening. And you're not required to sit still. That's why I call them movement meditations, is because it's really important to move. And that's where joy and movement comes in as well. It's like finding the joy in that time in which you can move things, not only the body, but also in the brain, and get new ideas and inspiration from stepping away. So yeah, I guess a little bit about myself. It's so hard to know where to start, but I've lived in many different countries, and I'm now in New Hampshire in the White Mountains, and I love being here. I love nature, and I love all the rivers and everything. And what brought me here is actually what I believe I now know is a burnout experience in my last not my last full-time job, but a major full-time job when I was working in London, in England. And from that experience, I had essentially a broken relationship, which ended in divorce. I completely lost myself over many years. I just didn't have a sense of what I wanted in my life. And that led me to just step away from everything. And in that time in which I really actually took a major break in my life, I actually went to the countryside and did a master's and lived there for a year and a half. I encountered this discipline of somatics. So that's really essentially listening to your inner guidance. And it's based on experiential anatomy, getting to know the body. So my interest in biology and how we function was tied into that as well. And I was able to recover from the burnout experience and just really start to live more authentically. And so that's where I ended with Joy in Movement in 2020. And this is my next part of my authentic journey, is to share this with others, what I've learned.
So your story, and thank you for sharing that. I think that's really helpful for people to be able to see themselves in your story, and also just to be able to identify with some of the things that you're saying. So I know that your story shares burnout in working for someone else, but I also hear a lot of entrepreneurs, if they're not feeling burnt out, they're teetering on the edge of burnout. So I'd love to hear what you think, like why that is maybe so prevalent in the entrepreneurial space and what it looks like on various levels.
Mm. Yes. So I feel like I'm always on the edge of it myself. So hence the practices I share being so important. And I've read up a little bit about it. And I just want to say that what I'm sharing here, like I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist. I'm sharing from my own experience and my own studies, maybe what I've observed in others as well, and what I've heard from others. And so I just want to make that clear because I'm not like a mental health professional in that sense. But yes, and the other thing I wanted to say is also it's super important that with the increase in mental health awareness, which is so good, it brings so much to the surface and so much more understanding is available of different conditions. It's so important before I mention what it might look like to not pathologize, like to not be like, oh, I definitely am experiencing burnout when you hear what I'm saying, because it looks so different for everyone. And I'll touch on that as well if we have a chance in a bit. But so there's one study that was done, and they talk about a 12-stage model of burnout. And I don't think this is specific to entrepreneurs, but because we are usually so passionate about what we do, it's so easy to get all rolled up in our business and then to identify with it and to forget that we're a whole person outside of the business as well. And so we're so much more prone to, so much susceptible to it, perhaps.
Yeah. I think when you love what you do, it's like, well, why wouldn't I just want to keep doing this all the time? The more the better.
Exactly. And like what I often say for my business, what I do is it's part of my life. It infuses my entire life. So, I have like going for walks is part of my business, and just being attentive to everything around me, because there might be a little bit of inspiration I can pick up. And we might touch on that later, like why it's important to go for walks and take these breaks. But yeah, I think we're very susceptible to it. And it also depends on our personality though, as well. So I see some entrepreneurs really showing up for themselves outside of their work. But there's people like me who, if you've done the 4 tendencies, Gretchen Rubin test, like I'm an obliger tending towards rebel, but I need other people to hold me accountable for what I do. So if I'm accountable for myself, it's kind of a lost cause. So I built in things to help me with that. But just to go over like what the study listed as the 12 stages of burnout, and I might not list them all, but it starts off with like the first level is the compulsion to prove oneself. So, and then the second one is just the inability to switch off. Like you're always thinking about your business, always thinking about work, even when you're having dinner or something like that. The third level, which is I see a lot, and it can happen to me as well, is neglecting basic needs. So skipping meals. Okay, today I didn't have lunch. I'll fully admit that, lack of sleep, unhealthy eating, and really important as well as lack of social interaction. So, and especially in this day and age when we're doing so much virtual, there's, She Built This is an amazing place to interact with people. It's still all online at the moment, but at least it's something, right? But we have very little of that. And then it can go into sort of not being able to prioritize what's important, and having work take priority over family time, over self-care, withdrawing even from social life, not feeling comfortable anymore in social environments. So it starts to get more and more serious, up until like depression potentially. Something that I experienced when I was working in London was I was wanting to change careers. I was wanting to change jobs. I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I was going for interviews. I was being invited, but I never got any jobs. I don't know how many I went to. And eventually I had no confidence in myself anymore. So like you start to retreat, right? You start to just not be able to engage and go out and feel good about yourself. So, at the end, you might end up needing medical attention, is what this model is saying. So it can be really varied. And it depends on your mindset. It depends on whether you think that your business is so ingrained in your life that if you weren't doing it, it wouldn't be worth living anymore, essentially, like at the extreme. Or if you're more flexible and you're more looking at yourself more holistically, more as a whole person. I'm somebody outside of my business, as I mentioned before. There's a few other factors as well, but I'm not going to go into that now, but it's really interesting.
Sorry if anyone can hear, we have like our driveway is like torn to shreds and you can probably hear them. I don't know if you can, but I just, that's why I put myself on mute. So let's go to another issue around the same principles, but this toxic productivity. Like, what are we actually trying to achieve here with this? Where's it rooted? And like, how can we kind of bring ourselves back to, I use the term work-life balance loosely because I do believe that there are times that I heard somebody, Pubali actually share a really good way of explaining it. It's about smoothing. It's about like, sometimes you are pouring more here, sometimes you're pouring more here, sometimes you're pouring more here, but just kind of making it all like smooth. So how can we bring more of that, I guess, like smoothing into our lives as entrepreneurs and start to unravel some of these toxically productive mindsets we have?
Yes. This is where that rebel tendency in me comes out, because I like to question. And as I myself have been doing more of the somatics work and really tuning into myself, I've been noticing things that these beliefs I've held that have gone unquestioned. So to me, you're starting to question, who's telling me that I have to work 8 hours a day? Who's telling me that? Like, why I had that belief, like if I time myself, I time how many hours I use an app. And then it's like, wow, I only did 4 hours of work today. And you kind of feel like, but I can't do anymore. So, and then, it's like, well, and then who's telling me I can't have a nap in the middle of the day? So those are the questions that I had to ask myself, like, who's telling me this? Like, why am I thinking this way? And can it be different? And can it look different? And I think, it's very much, it's not our fault as well. Like, this is in our culture. This is how we've grown up. We've always, and this is part of my own journey. Like, I've done what was expected of me. I've done things because they've been proven to bring success in a sort of traditional sense, money and comfort and maybe some safety there as well. But maybe there's another way.
And I think someone in the comments said, yeah, who's telling me I have to work 8 hours a day? I'm incapable of working that long a day in my business. And it's really true. Like, expecting yourself to output for 8 hours is quite a lot. And I think a lot of it comes from, the workplace mindset and the trading dollars for hours. And I think as entrepreneurs, we sometimes work ourselves into jobs with that trading dollars for hours mentality. Like, if I just put another hour in, I will make more money.
Yeah, that could be. And also, when I think about it, like when I did work at an office job, a lot of that time was spent, going to the bathroom, getting lunch, or talking with colleagues and gossiping or whatever. It's just kind of, a lot of that time is unproductive. I know there's been studies on that, but yeah. And so, I think what I would just want to emphasize is it comes down to, and this is also where the somatics works really helps you to understand, is that you have a choice. Like, you in fact, you have many choices. Like, there's not just one way of doing things or one way of being. And so it's about understanding that and then experimenting. And like, one thing I like to do is to question my assumptions. Like, for example, okay, so and then do the opposite. Sorry. So if I'm thinking, okay, I need to work 8 hours a day. Well, what if I only worked 4? And how does that feel? How does that really feel? Like, apart from my judging conscious mind, like, how does it feel in my body? And how does it feel? How does it impact my day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's talk about taking breaks, because I think that's another way to kind of turn this on its head. Let's talk about taking breaks and also building in unproductivity and how that can help us, and maybe even what it looks like for like on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess I want to start with this quote that I came across just yesterday, I think. And I don't remember it exactly, but what it was saying was, the whole world is telling you, like, this is important, and this is important, and this, and then this, and you got to do this, and this, and this. And it's like, like when I do that, I'm like, my heart's starting to race. I'm like, oh. And taking breaks just takes you away from all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're scrolling through social media, your news feeds, and getting all wrapped up in everything, all the hype that's happening in the world. Like, I definitely recommend when you take breaks to not look at your phone and to move away from the computer. But so it just really helps you, if you're taking true breaks away from all that you've been doing and all the work and all the hype, I would call it, then it allows you to really start to understand what's important in life, what matters to you. And speaking at the more physical level, like, it doesn't matter, the thing is, breaks can look different for different people. So what I offer is just a chance to just step away from it, to tune into what you really need, to how you are, what you really need next. And then from there, you can do your own thing. I take breaks. Sometimes it's washing up dishes, or vacuuming. I mean, that's the beauty of working from home, I find, is that this unproductive time ends up helping me feel better at the end of the day, because I don't finish my work and I'm like, oh, I've got all these things to do still. Like, there's like piles of dishes in the sink. And the other thing it does is that it physically helps your body move, and we're meant to move. So it's so important. I mean, a lot of people will go for a run or something like that, and that's amazing. That's wonderful. It's not something I do. But I like to go for a walk every now and then. And so, yes. And then the brain makes new connections when you're not constantly focused, and you're just you're giving your brain a break as well, which is really important. There's lots of neurological stuff.
And I'd love for people to kind of challenge people, and maybe you'll weigh in on this too, but challenge people to think of some new ways to take breaks that they might not have thought of. So, for example, I like to have a puzzle going on my dining room table.
Oh.
And so when I take a break, like I will stand there and do that thing for like half an hour, because I'm addicted to the puzzle, but it's a break and it feels so good when I do it. So just setting yourself up for success by figuring out what those things are that you love to do, that you get almost lost in, and letting yourself go there. So I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts on like helping people to rethink what some of those breaks might look like, because I think people think exactly what you said. Oh, I'm gonna take a break. They step away, they're on their phone, and then they're scrolling, and it's like, well, that wasn't a break. I was just
right. And then you start beating yourself up about having done that and wasted all this time and feeling all upset or whatever, gotten distracted. Yes. Well, I guess one of the things that I've talked about in the past is what kind of it comes back to, who are you outside of your work? So what kind of things are just fun for you, right? So the puzzle is great. I think that would be a really bad thing for me, because I probably wouldn't be able to set boundaries. And I would just get so absorbed in just putting one more piece in.
It's a real struggle. I'm like, wait, how did I do this in one day? That's
Yes. I actually have a story around that, but I won't take up time with that now, with puzzle distraction. So yes, I think, you could, for example, make a list of things, if you're a list maker, and have it up by your desk, and then, what is it? It might be drawing. It might be
jump roping. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I have an exercise program I do sometimes, breaks too, to just get me moving. But I think it's more thinking about I think the way I put it is like, what fun can you invite into your life this week? Maybe at the beginning of the week, you have like time when you're scheduling your to-dos and you're setting up your schedule, and you're like, okay, what could be fun this week? And the thing I've suggested in the past, which I know you know about, Emily, is schedule your work around that. So schedule in those fun things, try them out. Yeah, experiment, see how it feels, and then work around that as well.
Yeah. And all right, so what's like the one, I know you have like one key question that we can all kind of ask ourselves to help
Yeah.
unlock some of this and really make it feel more comfortable and doable, because it is a muscle that we have to stretch and practice, just like
Yes.
anything else. So what is that one question?
So I don't think it's anything particularly innovative or anything, but it did come to me in one of my explorations. I started asking myself, what is the most loving thing I can do for myself now?
Mm.
And so it's kind of it comes naturally, perhaps between tasks, that these times are called decision points. It's like, okay, you're there, maybe if you finish something, or maybe your time is up for a certain task, depending on how you work. And you're like, okay, what am I going to do next? Sometimes, it might not be that thing on your to-do list. Sometimes it might just be stepping away and getting a glass of water. Sometimes it might be lying down. Sometimes it might be doing something that you really don't feel like doing,
Mm-hmm.
but, or calling a loved one or something like that. But yeah, what is the most loving thing that you can do, that I can do for myself right now? I personally find that really impactful.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I have this little peaceful something journal that I haven't touched yet, which is funny. But I haven't touched it, and I opened it this morning and it had that question on like page 1. And I was like, ooh, cool. I love that. So
Oh, perfect.
yeah, there we go. Synchronicity.
Yeah.
All right. So what are some like really practical steps? Like if people are watching this and they're like, okay, I want to start giving myself the opportunity to take breaks, be less productive. What's one thing that they can implement right away?
Oh, I had a list of like
Or a
3
list.
things.
A list is fine.
Well, really, actually one thing. No, one thing. Okay. It's just realizing that your body is a messenger, and it's a resource too. So like right now I'm feeling really thirsty, right? Because I guess I'm talking, I've been nervous, but it's like, okay, so I have my glass of water here. That's a point, that can be a decision point. You step away to get a glass of water. It's just starting small with like following your body's cues. Oh, my back is stiff, okay. Rather than sitting through the pain, or, why not get up and stretch or walk around a bit, or just start small, but start maybe listening to the body if you can.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the comments, so I don't know.
I know. I want to read one to you. It says, that's a mic drop statement. Your body is a messenger. And then someone else said, I love that. What is the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? Someone else loves the idea that scheduling the fun first and working around it is great. Someone liked the puzzle break. And doing chores mindfully can be very restorative. So, and then the last comment says, taking breaks can make you more productive. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I had that in my notes, and then I'm like, oh, productive. That word is like, I don't know if I like.
Okay. But that is also like, let's not, I mean, we do need to be productive. Like we can't just lay on the floor. So that's a good thing to actually bring back is, we do need some level of productivity in our lives. It's not that all productivity is toxic. It's that when you get so wrapped up in it, that's when it becomes toxic, and when you're just striving to cross one more thing off your list instead of going pee, for example, which has happened to me. And I will never let that happen again. But when we ignore our body's signals, it's like, that's the slow path, actually, not the fast path, so.
Yeah, right. And yeah, you do slow down, your brain slows down, your body gets all gummed up. And how can you work from a space of like, it's so much nicer to work from a space of ease, right?
Yeah.
So much more flows.
Were we going to do a little mini meditation? I think we were, right?
Oh, we can. I hadn't planned on it, but they're always spontaneous anyway.
I like to throw things at people anyway. So, all right, let's do that. And then at the end, we'll wrap up and you can share how to connect with you and get in on what you offer. Because I think what you are offering people is so fantastic and helpful.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah. Okay, well, let's start this way. We'll do like 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to invite you, especially if you've been sitting in front of the screen or at a desk for a while, just to, if you want, get up and just move slowly. Notice if you want to shake things out, if you want to move faster, even if you start moving your wrists, shaking out your hands, maybe even rolling your ankles, just a little bit of activity just to come back into the body and just, notice, where are the tight spots? And then whenever you're ready, you can stay standing if you're standing. You could even lie down if you wanted to, and that was comfortable for you. But just allowing yourself to come into stillness, closing the eyes if that feels welcome. Otherwise, simply lowering your gaze and just bringing your awareness inside into the body. Just noticing whatever you're sensing, not judging, simply noticing, not changing anything. Maybe a deeper in-breath is welcome and a sigh on the exhale. Maybe you're simply content, sensing your breath, the air moving into the 1,500 miles of airways in your lungs, and out again through the nostrils. Inviting you to sense your weight, the weight of your body on the floor, perhaps through the heels if your feet are touching the floor, through your feet. If you're lying down, just noticing all the touch points with the floor, your head, your shoulders, your sacrum, and your pelvis, maybe your legs. Just allowing yourself to feel that support from the floor that's always there, that gravity nourishing you, that you can release into. Allowing the shoulders to melt towards the earth. Perhaps allowing the tongue to drop to the floor of the mouth and noticing if that changes anything. Noticing how your eyes feel, especially if they're closed. Are they still straining to see? Inviting you, if you wish to bring your fingertips to the bridge of your nose and draw them very gently across the eyelids towards the temples. And you can do this a few times, giving your eyes some love, grateful for all they do throughout the day for you, inviting them to rest for a moment. Just noticing how you feel now. And inviting, if you wish, to bring your hand to your heart space, one hand or both. Thanking yourself for making this time for yourself to nourish yourself just a little bit. And I want to thank you for making time for yourself as well. And so we'll come back to our little session here, our little screen. Thank you.
And it looks like people hung on and did that too. So I hope it feels good for them. I know I was telling Vivian before we got started, my jaw has been really tight. And even just doing that alone has helped like loosen it up a lot. So that was great. And now that they've had a taste, tell them what you're doing with your Joyful Breaks program, and also how people can find that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have some links ready to go here. So Joyful Breaks is a monthly membership, and I show up twice a day during the week, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, at 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so our time here on the East Coast of the US, for these live virtual mini breaks. And they're between 11 and 12 minutes long normally. I try to make them 11. And they're basically what we just experienced, but a slightly longer version of that. And so the reason why I do this is because I find it hard for me to take my own breaks. I need to have something to hold me accountable, or someone to hold me accountable. And that's why I show up live. And when you're in the program, it's really easy. You just click on the link. You don't even have to be on video or microphone. It's just being there, and you can click on the link, and then you can step away from the screen. And so on Wednesdays, though, I have one longer session. So today I had at 12 o'clock, I had half-hour conscious rest session. And that's really where I invite you to lie down, and I sort of do like a guided meditation. Sometimes it's a body scan type meditation. Sometimes there's music involved, and inviting you to move to that a little bit towards the end, but just a really deep rest, conscious rest, though. Sometimes you can go to sleep, but yes. So that's like the core of the program. It's like these live guided sensory movement meditations. And all the sessions are recorded, and they're uploaded on a membership platform. And so you can re-listen to them whenever you want. And it's actually a platform where people can leave comments and engage with one another as well. So it's not on Facebook, which I think is great because Facebook can be such a distraction. But my dream is really to grow that more, and to have like a community where people can support one another. And yeah. And so that's it for now. Eventually I'll have guest speakers. I have some ideas for what I want to bring in. But sometime this year, I hope. And it's $35 a month. And I set it up today, actually. I wanted to do like a special for She Built This members, but I couldn't figure out how to set up like a free month. So what I have done is changed it so that if you join today, it's or just, even within the next week, you get 21 days, so 3 weeks free to try it out.
Awesome. So, and you'll put like the links and any special code or anything in there?
Yes. Where do I do that?
You'll have to go back into the Facebook group. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll paste it all there. And I also have a live event next Thursday, which I'll paste the link to, which is free. I talk a little bit more about what I do, and I'll do also like an example of a 12-minute mini break in that as well.
Great. Thanks, Vivian. Thanks for coming to remind us to take breaks, and also like gifting us with a break. That was lovely.
My favorite thing to do. Thank you, Emily.
Enjoy your Wednesday, everyone. The rest of your Wednesday, I should say, and the rest of your week. And thanks for watching.